this is Riding with Ree. Not a very long intro today, just to say that in this week's video, Woody has some unexpected box thrusts, so I take you through that, the suspected abscess that he has, how we treated that, and how I make his days on box rest a little bit more comfortable. Let's get straight into it. Right, I've got Woody here. We'll just negotiate across the icy yard and then we shall give you the update. Already looking better today. Right, Woody's gonna have some grass and I'm gonna update you on why we are even stood here. So it's Monday now. On Friday, I came down to have my weekly lesson and I brought Woody out of the stable and he was on 3 legs. He was very, very lame and he was sort of lifting his hoof up and stuff. Obviously very lame. So got my coach and we started looking at his leg for signs of heat, signs of swelling, signs of tenderness, any external marks that could explain, you know, maybe he got in a fight or he got his leg caught on something. Couldn't find anything. There was absolutely nothing to explain why he was this lame. Not a huge amount of heat in the hoof or anything. But one of the signs of an abscess is actually severe lameness that comes on this quickly. And bear in mind, you know, should we go over here? Bear in mind that the day before, steady, very fresh. He's been on box rest for a few days. Steady. Steady, steady. You okay? Oh boy. What was I saying? So bear in mind that I had schooled him the night before and he'd been completely fine. So it was just very strange how all this had happened. We called our farrier and he wasn't able to come out until the next day. So we hot tubbed it. Steady. You are very fresh today. I think I might take him round the corner where it's a little bit quieter. I think that's a good idea. Woody, come on please. Go steady. I think you're just very fresh, aren't you? Very, very fresh indeed. Just go steady. Calm yourself. You are very fresh. Why don't we go round the other side? Come on. What is it? Is it the squirrels upsetting you? Steady, steady. Goodness me. Steady, steady. So we called the farrier. He couldn't come up until the next day. Come on. And so he recommended that we hot tub it with Epsom salts. So put his foot in a tub of hot water, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to do the same, and then poultice it as if it were a abscess to see if anything came out between that night and when the farrier could come down the next day. I have some video of that, so I'll show you that now. So this is my lovely coach Hannah, who agreed to be in this week's video. She's just hot tubbing Woody here. I will show you more of this later because I do it later on in this video. So let's move on to the next stage of poulticing. So next is to actually get the poultice pad. Obviously at this point the farrier hasn't been down, so we're doing it over the shoe because we don't know where the abscess is right now. Some people use nappies for this. I have a poultice pad. It's a completely personal choice. The next stage is to vet wrap it. So this stuff that she has in her hand, the blue stuff, is vet wrap. And you basically want to wrap it all the way around the hoof and cover up the whole of the poultice, obviously usually without a shoe on. And you go over it until you've used the roll?
Yeah, use the whole thing.
Okay, cool. Is that okay, Mr. Wood?
Yeah, this is fine. And I'm trying not to kind of go on his up here where the hair is, because this obviously is quite elastic and it can go quite tight. So I kind of go like where the shoe is. I'm sort of going in across the middle of the shoe, if you see what I mean, and rolling around there. And then I'm kind of covering the front bit and it all just sticks down. But I don't want to go too far up, because if you end up with it tight and it's on where the hair is, obviously you can cut off the circulation. I mean, I've gone a little bit there. If you were wrapping it for a long time, like a number of days, they can get a bit sore up here.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, try and avoid it off the hair if you can. That's ideal. And then you want to try and finish it at the bottom, so when he stands on it, it's going to stick it down.
Oh, perfect.
All that's pretty good. And then we're just gonna use this instead of tape.
So at this point I hadn't actually been up to the local saddlers and got a kit for poulticing, so we'd run out of gaffer tape, so we were using this stuff. But usually you would put gaffer tape over the top to hold it in place and keep it sort of waterproof for the time that you would need it on there. So the farrier comes down the next day. There's nothing that's come out on the poultice to suggest that there's an abscess. And he's still lame, but not as lame. So this is my lovely farrier Rob, who kindly agreed to let me film him so that I could show you the process of this suspected abscess and we could all learn together. So firstly, he just takes off the poultice and he's looking for signs of an abscess having come through there. He said there was nothing on that pad to suggest that an abscess had come through.
There's a few patches in there, but it's just, they just do that with the dirt and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So the next stage would be to actually remove the shoe and start touching different areas of the hoof to try and find a sensitive spot that Woody reacts to, which would usually be a sign of a localised abscess. And on this occasion, Rob didn't find that localised spot.
Yeah, I think he's either really thumped it, or he's got like an infection that's under the frog and he's going to come out of the coronet.
So he suggested that we actually hot tubbed it twice a day with hot water until Monday, when he was going to come back, because he was due to come and do his shoes again anyway, but not poultice it because he didn't want the hoof to get too soft in between. So that's what we did. I was away on Saturday visiting my parents, which was a planned trip, so obviously the girls on the yard looked after Woody that day. Came back on Sunday night, hot tubbed him myself, steady, and he looks better already. There we go. He looks better already, and today obviously, as I said, is Monday. Farrier came back this morning. Still there was no sign of an abscess, and he said because he didn't look any worse than before, he thought perhaps that it was maybe a bruised sole instead of an abscess, so maybe he stood on a stone, something like that. There's something over there, isn't it? We've just been stood over there and he was doing exactly the same thing. I don't know what he's looking at. Must be something going on over there. We're still hot tubbing twice a day. He's got his shoes on now to help give him a little bit of balance rather than having one sole off. And he's allowed to do a little bit of hand grazing like this, just so that the muscles, he keeps moving a little bit, sort of a waiting game. I mean, he seems a lot better. He was quite grumpy the first day and he didn't really want to hang out and he was just a bit grouchy. So I'll keep you posted. So I'm wearing the EQUESTRIAN Chester at the moment, which is a PR product they sent me to try out in exchange for content, and I'm really impressed. As I said, it's freezing today. It was -1 earlier and there's still ice on the ground, so I'm guessing it's just as cold, and I only have 2 base layers under this and that's it, and it's doing really well, so I'm pretty pleased with it. Woody is there. I'm gonna go and take this tub and fill it with warm water and salt so that we can soak his foot. So apparently these tubs are really good for soaking their feet, my coach told me, because if they lift their foot up or go to kind of jump away, they can do that and it doesn't always spill it out, whereas if you knock over a tall bucket, obviously, I'm not explaining this well, basically these are harder to knock over, so you're less likely to spill the water everywhere than a tall bucket. I was also making the joke that, you know, people are like, my therapist says, my version of that is my coach says these buckets are better. Anyway, just grab the kettle. God, I don't have enough hands for this. Sorry, I got distracted because the tap was running, but it wasn't running anywhere. So we're filling up the kettle with hot water, and then we're going to make, we're going to put salt in the bucket with warm water and put his foot in it. The theory being that it draws abscess out of the foot to have this hot water and salt. Obviously, we think it might be a bruised sole now instead of an abscess, but apparently, according to my farrier, it still helps a bruised sole to have tubbing with salt, so that's why we're doing it. And whilst we're here, this is something I've spoken about a million times now, but about being on full livery even when you're a first-time horse owner. So I put on my TikTok I'll stand outside because it's quite loud. I put on my TikTok about how you do an abscess, and basically showed my coach telling me the things I was asking her. And somebody commented and said that they thought that people should know how to do this stuff before they get a horse, which I totally get. I'm also a big advocate for people understanding the welfare needs of horses before they get one, but I think people can have the theory of something and want to know that stuff and want to understand the theory, but not have the practical chance to do something. So you can understand what causes an abscess and how to put on a poultice, but you may not have ever come across a horse that needed a poultice. And so I think that's where, you know, that's certainly the boat I'm in. I understand what an abscess is, I understand what a poultice is, I understand the theory of putting a poultice on. I've watched people put poultices on before, but I've never done it myself. And, you know, being here as a first-time horse owner on this yard, as soon as this happened, the first time the person I called was my coach. And to be honest, him being that lame, I probably would have called the vet. And actually her knowing that it looked like abscess lameness and knowing to call the farrier and then showing me step by step every single detail of how to put a poultice on, I think that's really where the value in being on full livery as a first-time horse owner comes from, because you are being able to get taught those things. And don't get me wrong, I totally agree that, you know, you shouldn't buy a horse blind, but I think you can also have a lot of knowledge in the horse world but not know how to do quite specific things. So yeah, shout out to my coach and this lovely yard for looking after me. Right, back to this tubbing. Right, kettle is boiled. Here is the tub. Don't know if you can see, maybe I need to do it this way. Here's the tub. I don't have Epsom salts. I just don't have any at the moment, so I'm using table salt instead, or I'm borrowing some from the yard. So it's about 2 tablespoons. No, sorry, 2 teaspoons I'm putting in. I don't think you need much more than that, although there are specific amounts for Epsom salts. And then I have the hot water coming out of the kettle. I'm going to add cold water to it when I get over to Woody, and I'm going to add more water than I need now, because I can always like tip it away if I've got too much, but I don't want to go over there with too little and then have to come back. And also it gets cold really quickly because it's so cold outside. So what you need is just enough water to go over the hoof and just below, or just below the bulbs of the heels. I can show you when Woody's foot is in it. So I'm going to pour this in and then walk it over. I'm not going to walk over with you because I will spill it on myself, and I'm not looking to get soaked today. It's freezing. I'll see you over there. Right, I've got my hot water and I put my cold water in it. Woody hates this. He snorts like a dragon and he hates the bucket, and he's already backed away. Look at his little face. So whether I can do this with one hand, I don't know. But basically you want it as hot as you can stand. So obviously this is hot, but it's not, you know, it's not going to hurt. He just doesn't like the bucket, and I'm sure he doesn't like the sensation because he doesn't know what's going on, which is completely fine. So I'm just going to move the bucket next to his foot. Good boy. Pick up his foot. Come on. Come on, Woody. Up, up. That's it. Slide the bucket under. Can you see? And then I'm just going to gently drop it back in because I don't want it to be a shock when it's warm. Steady. Quick freeze frame here to say that if you are doing this, ideally you want the hoof to be clean before you put it in the bucket so that the bucket doesn't get dirty with the horse's hoof. Let's continue. That's it. Good boy. Steady. Woo. Good boy. That's it. That was good. Good. Good boy. So now we've got to stand here for 10 minutes and hope that he doesn't kick it over. Which is always a possibility. Distracted now by a pony, probably by a mare. Always helpful for me. I'll take it. This is the best bit because I get to distract him with cuddles. I'm like, it's okay. It's all right. Yeah. I would groom him while I'm doing this, but he won't stand. He won't stand in the bucket. So I just have to hope that he gets distracted like he is now, or that he wants to have a cuddle. Hey? It's okay. He's gotten better, but it's not his favourite thing, is it? You can't let him look. You can't let him look too closely at the bucket, because then he's like, oh God, what is it? So you've got to give him a cuddle instead. Such a mummy's boy, aren't you? I know that he's feeling better already, because even with his very sweet nature, it's obvious when he's grumpy. So today, you know, he's pushing over for a cuddle and he's just sort of staying there. And although his ears are back, I think that's because he doesn't like the tub. But, you know, the first day, the Friday, when this all kicked off, you know, he was just a bit like, he was shoving me a bit, and he was like, he never bit me, but he was like, you know, gnashing his teeth around me, and he just wasn't happy. He wasn't a happy boy. And you can tell, even when they're this sweet, that he was probably just in pain and not feeling so great. Hey? Oh, is that right? Yes, nod. Oh, you are a sweet boy, aren't you? So the last thing I'm going to do for the patient, now that I've done his feet, is just give him a very quick groom. So this is the Diamond Gloss brush. It's super soft, it's a body brush. He's very clean because he's been stood in, and he's clipped. He doesn't need much of a brush, but I just think it's nice for him. He likes being groomed, makes him feel good. It's good for his circulation. I think it helps lie the hairs the right way if his rugs have been like moved around during the night. And then I'm just going to brush his tail and his mane because he's had to lie down. So he's got straw in his tail and mane. I'm going to reset his rugs. So basically take them off and put them back on again, so that if they've moved around during the day, they've pulled back or they've become uncomfortable, it's just like making his bed again, I guess, like, so he goes into bed with fresh sheets. I'm going to quarter him because it's really cold, so I'm going to fold his rugs back depending on which area I'm going to do, but just, I think just a nice thing for him. He likes being groomed, and it's a nice way for us to bond even when he's on box rest, and hopefully makes the day break up a little bit, I think, when they're on box rest, to do something like this for them. So that's the plan. So I think it was in last week's video that I spoke about the Premier Equine liner system, and obviously as it's gotten much colder, I went on their website looking for a 200-gram liner to go under this rug, and they'd sold out. And I couldn't really wait for them to come back in stock, so instead I bought this, which is a 200-gram weather beater underliner. I bought it on Facebook Marketplace, secondhand, and picked it up, and it's been good. Isn't that nice? So yeah, you can see he's clipped. He doesn't really need a groom, but I think he enjoys it. Is that nice? I think you would enjoy it, wouldn't you, if you were stuck in bed all day, and somebody just came and, like, you know, changed your sheets, or I don't really know what the equivalent is, but I just think it's a nice thing to do. Is it nice? Yes. Oh, you were handsome. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch you. You were a handsome boy. So yeah, nice thing to do. Is it nice? Can we tell the people it feels nice? Yes, it does. You good boy. He likes this brush because it's really soft. So yeah, and then I'll just reset his rugs. This is really hard to do with one hand, so I'm going to put it down. Right, I'm going to brush his tail, and then there is truly nothing left for me to do but leave this poor boy alone and put him to bed for the night and come back tomorrow and see how he is. So that's it. I do have one final update, which is a couple of days after this was last shot, Woody was able to go back out in the field at the farrier's recommendation, which is really, really great news. So although he's back out in the field every day, I'm still not riding because there's something not quite 100% back to normal, but we'll give it time. That does of course mean that the dressage to music clinic that I mentioned to some of you that I would be going to isn't going to happen this time, and that's okay. And it might be that the content is a little light as Woody and I are just dealing with the box rest right now, but I will of course share any interesting updates as they come along. I will see you next week, 4 PM GMT. Bye for now.